Now on Mississippi Insight. State Republican leaders say education will be a top priority in the 2026 legislature, but their plans are alarming public school advocates. We'll hear from the Parents Campaign's Nancy Loome. And Andy Gipson tells Byron Brown why he decided to run for governor. That's all ahead this week on Mississippi Insight. I'm Melanie Christopher, hosting for Byron Brown this week. Thank you for joining us for this August 10th edition of Insight. House Speaker Jason White calls it education freedom, but proposals to expand private school options are not sitting well with the Parents Campaign. That advocacy group is warning that pro-voucher PACs from out of state are pouring money into some of Mississippi's special elections this year. My colleague Byron Brown spoke last week with the executive director of the Parents Campaign, Nancy Loome.
You recently sent out a mailer about the importance of the August 5th primary in terms of public education in Mississippi. Why is that so important?
Well, there are special elections being held in a number of districts where the federal government said that they needed to redraw these districts because they were not properly drawn. So we're having these special elections, and so the nature of the legislature could change based on who is elected into those positions. And of course, from my vantage point, the way that they vote on education issues is critically important. And so we're asking our folks to get to know the candidates and find out where they stand on issues that affect their public schools and go to the polls on Election Day.
What should voters know about these PACs that you're talking about, this AFC Victory Fund and this role in this election? Why should they be aware of this, and what should they know about it?
That's a good question. So there are some out-of-state super PACs that have gotten involved in this election to try to encourage folks to vote for people who support vouchers for private school education, state funding going to private schools. And they're trying to defeat legislators who have been very supportive of public schools. And so that is something that we want voters to be aware of, because some of the mailers that are being sent out by these PACs have inaccurate information on them about the candidates. And so we're asking voters to get to know the candidates, ask them questions about their positions on public education issues, and find out all they can about where the candidates really stand on these issues.
How are these out-of-state PACs? How are they impacting the local schools? And these candidates and these campaigns? How are they doing that? What are they doing with these PACs?
Well, these PACs cannot donate directly to super PACs. Can't donate directly to candidates' campaign coffers. Mm-hmm. So what they do is to send out materials and information that either attack one candidate, they might say all kinds of inflammatory things about a candidate, or perhaps are sending out campaign materials that promote a candidate. And so people just need to be very careful about the information that they get in the mail, especially if it seems very inflammatory, and to get to know the candidates themselves and ask them the questions that are about issues that really matter to the folks back at home.
What do you say to voters who might receive misleading mailers?
I would say that it would make me question the person that it was supporting, or maybe want to get to know the person that it's attacking to make sure that I have accurate information.
What does the federal tax credit voucher plan mean for Mississippi?
So this is a program that was inserted at the last, it was taken out of House Resolution 1, H.R. 1, which is a federal bill, that budget reconciliation bill that just passed a few weeks ago. Mm-hmm. It's been referred to as the One Big Beautiful Bill. And it had a voucher provision in it that was removed, and then at the last minute put back in with some changes. And the changes are that it doesn't necessarily apply to every state. So a state that wants to participate in that program would opt in. We're not quite sure yet, because it was very vaguely written. We're not sure exactly who will be the person or entity to opt states into the program, but it could be the governor. But it also did allow for regulation of private schools in the states that decide to participate in the program, for obvious reasons, because if taxpayer funds, public funds are going to be used to fund private schools, it makes sense that they would be held to similar requirements as those to which the public schools are held, particularly in regard to student achievement and accountability and that sort of thing. So this bill has passed in the U.S. Congress and Senate, and we're waiting to see. There will be some rules that will be put in place to govern the program, but it will allow for a dollar-for-dollar tax credit to donations to a nonprofit organization that would then hand that money out in the way of scholarships for private schools. And so we'll see whether or not Mississippi opts into that program, what the regulations would be for the private schools that would come along with that program if we were to opt in, and that sort of thing. But it won't apply until tax year 2027, so there's a little bit of time to kind of figure out all those particulars.
What do you think the governor will do with it when it comes to opting in?
Well, I think the governor has said that he is definitely in favor of school choice. He wants to send public money to private schools. So we'll see. Mississippians are very much opposed to this type of measure, and it's why Mississippi doesn't have a broad voucher program currently. It has been proposed in every single legislative session, but lawmakers have heard from the folks back home who strongly support their public schools and don't believe that public money should go to private schools that are not open to all students. They just see that as not being an appropriate use of public funds. So we'll see whether the governor listens to the folks back home or listens to the voucher lobby, which is like those super PACs, pouring a lot of money into the state to try to get these voucher programs passed.
And last week at the Neshoba County Fair, the House Speaker Jason White and the governor, they all talked about consolidating school districts. And the governor didn't say how many, but Jason White was specific about saying 82 school districts in the state. What is your thought about consolidation of school districts?
I think they'll get a lot of pushback from the folks back home. People are proud of their public schools. You know, occasionally there's a reason to consolidate a district if the district has become so small that it really can't provide the resources that students need to excel. That might be a reason. But just to arbitrarily say, oh, we only need 82 school districts, that the research on that also is very interesting, that actually very large districts have been found to be very inefficient in terms of expenditures, administrative expenses, and that sort of thing. So there's a happy medium, so to speak. You don't want teeny tiny districts because you don't have the economies of scale that you need to provide students the types of course selections and that sort of thing. But you hit that point of diminishing return fairly quickly. What research has found is that the optimal size school district is around 5,000 students. And you would have much larger school districts than that if you consolidated down to one per county. So, you know, I think they'll get a lot of resistance to that from voters back home.
After the break, Byron's one-on-one with Ag Commissioner and gubernatorial candidate Andy Gipson. Mississippi Insight continues in just a moment. Andy Gipson has been busy on the state media circuit lately. The Agriculture and Commerce Commissioner is currently the only declared Republican candidate for governor in 2027. He won't have that distinction for long, though, as other prospective contenders weigh their odds. Gipson talked with Byron Brown last week for his In the Know podcast.
You announced basically 2 years out. Why so early?
Well, I figured if I was going to do it, I might as well just either put up or shut up. And I decided to put up. And in the process of doing that, I've talked to so many people as I've traveled the state. It's not an exaggeration for me to say that, 10, 20,000 people have said to me, are you running for governor? Will you run for governor? And the only thing I could say up to this point was I'm praying about it. But now I can say I am. And so I was getting so much of that, it was really weighing on me. Am I going to do it or not? I just had to decide for myself. and not worry about what anybody else is going to do. I'm not running against anybody. I'm not ever going to say anything bad about anybody else. I'm running for the future of this state, and I believe that the time is now to do that. So that's why I'm doing it, and I have a real peace about it. I'm excited about it, and getting a lot of speaking engagements. I have a full calendar of events all the way into next year. No shortage of opportunities to talk to folks across the state. I'll be in New Albany this week, and also Tupelo, a lot of time in North Mississippi. I'll be on the coast in the coming weeks. And so just getting around, and the best part of this is meeting people, and I'm doing it while I'm doing my job as Ag Commissioner. It's a big job, and I've got another 2 years of doing this job. We're getting ready for the state fair, the state's largest event. It's going to be a special fair this year because of America 250, our 250th birthday of our country, and we're going to be making it the most patriotic fair in the country is our goal. As the president has issued a challenge, have the most patriotic state fair. We're going to recognize you at the National Mall in July of 2026. So we want to win that thing. We're going to wrap the state fair red, white, and blue. Doing the job, meeting a lot of great folks, and just love Mississippians.
With 2 years ago, before the governor's race, it's going to be a very competitive race with a lot of names that are already out there that haven't formally announced, but a lot of names are out there. What do you think is going to be some of the challenges as you go against some of the competitors that are going to be out there?
Well, as I said, I'm not going to say anything bad about anybody running because, for one thing, I don't know who is running. I think a lot of them are still deciding, in that process of deciding. I think there'll probably be half a dozen folks in that race. So my goal, I've done this before. I've been around a long time. 20 years ago, I ran in a primary and a three-way primary. My goal is to get in the runoff, to get in the top two. And I think anyone would be they would not be a good student of politics to think that anything else would happen. So there'll be, if you have half a dozen people run for governor, there'll be a runoff because you have to get 50% plus one vote. Now, I'm going to work as hard as I can to get that 50% plus one vote in round one, but I expect there'll be a runoff, and the top two then will go to the runoff, as I said, in that primary, and I believe we'll win it. I know this much. The moment I announced for governor, I was amazed and astounded at the level of support that I have out here from people that I don't even know. I mean, people have been talking to me about this, asking me about running for a long time. And the moment I said, yes, I am, I just began to get offers of support and help and people wanting signs already 2 years out. It's a little early for that, but I do have signs. I brought them to the Neshoba County Fair. And just the grassroots level of support everywhere I go. I was in Water Valley, Mississippi for the Watermelon Carnival this past weekend. And even folks there, we're so glad you're running. Let us know what we can do to help you.
Talk about the fair coming up in October, just a few months away. How's it processing right now? Or what are we looking at as we get ready for the fair?
Well, the state fair this year will be October the 2nd through the 13th. It is the state's largest event. I remind people of that. And it's all about agriculture. Our livestock families that are from all over Mississippi will be here. They're great supporters of mine as well. But we're going to be highlighting agriculture as we always do with the rides, the fair food, the entertainment, the biscuit booth. Don't forget all that. The amazing time. You're going to have a lot of free shows at the state fair, like the Taste of the Dixie National Rodeo, which we'll have. The Tri-State Rodeo competition will be there. But this year's different because it is the epicenter of patriotic celebration. That's coming from the White House. President Trump had a vision in 23 to have a 50-state Great American Fair. That Great American Fair is going to happen the week of July 4th, 2026, and all 50 states are invited to represent our states at that fair on the National Mall. But leading up to that, the president announced, and Ag Secretary Rollins asked us to have the most patriotic state fair that we could. And whoever is documented to have the most patriotic state fair will be recognized at the Great American Fair on the 250th birthday of our country. I think that is so cool, and I'm so excited to be, holding the reins of this event and getting ready. We're going to have a big press conference about it this Friday. The governor will be there with us to announce this, America 250. We're calling it the Great American Mississippi State Fair. We're going to wrap the state fair in red, white, and blue. Think marching bands, think parades, think military, think flyovers, think Lee Greenwood. I stopped what I was doing, and I told him, I said, y'all book Lee Greenwood for the Mississippi State Fair when I heard about this. And we got him booked for October 13th. That's Columbus Day. I look forward to introducing him on the stage, and I'm going to sing Proud to be an American with Lee Greenwood at the Mississippi State Fair. And if that doesn't get us the most patriotic state fair in America, I don't know what else will. Right after he sings, there's going to be a tremendous, massive fireworks show. And then that same day, we're going to have an amazing, patriotic Mississippi State Fair parade around the fairgrounds, something that all the kids are going to enjoy. They'll never forget this as we really kick off celebrating America 250.
As you move forward, in what do you look at as far as the state when it comes to dealing with agriculture and everything else, and particularly with President Trump when it comes to the tariff issues? What impact do the tariffs have on Mississippi, since agriculture is a big part of our state?
Well, it's a big impact, but I'll tell you, it's nothing really new, because what's happened the last 4 years, 5 years, we've had an agriculture trade deficit in our country that really since COVID, America's been buying more foreign agriculture products than we've been selling. People ask why. The reason for that is China stopped buying American products. And so what the president is doing is renegotiating trade deals, not only with China, but also other folks around the world. We want to sell our products in a way that are going to benefit our farmers. We have abundant production. I mean, we've had record years of production in agriculture here in America for the last several years. We have abundant supply, but when you cut off those export markets like China has done, that has driven the price down. We have an excess product, supply and demand. We need to sell more product, and we are. With recent trade deals announced in the European Union, with Australia, and with the Philippines, with Indonesia, with key growing parts of Asia, and pending. I'm excited about this pending deal with India. I've been to India 4 times. It's the world's largest country and the largest market for products. So there's every reason to believe that the tariffs that the president is putting in place, he's using them as leverage to get better trade deals. Our farmers need better trade deals. We need them now. We can't wait, years and years. We need trade deals now for the harvest that's coming in this year. And I'm so encouraged about what's happening. And I believe that we're going to win this trade war. We have no option but to win this trade war for our farmers. And in Mississippi, agriculture is the biggest part of our economy. Now, row crop farmers are hurting. That's cotton, corn, soybeans. At the same time as cattle producers are having record years. I mean, calves are bringing huge amounts compared to what they were just a few years ago. So there's bright spots. Poultry is a bright spot. The cost of farming now is higher than it's been, and we need to get those costs under control. Energy is a big cost. Having more energy is going to bring those prices down. But on the whole, agriculture being the biggest part of our economy, we just have to look ahead to the future. And that's why at Neshoba, I announced the strategic plan for farming. I called it the Future of Agricultural Resiliency for Mississippi. And I'm assembling a panel of experts, agricultural leaders in the private sector to look at the landscape of agriculture today and find out what do we need to do different, what can we do better for Mississippi going forward to keep agriculture strong. We might need to diversify in terms of some of our crop production, in light of the trade issues with soybeans, for example. And so these are opportunities. They're challenges, but they're also opportunities. And we're going to have a comprehensive look at all issues in agriculture and commerce and come up with a strategic plan for the future. I believe it's the most important work that I will have done as Ag Commissioner. And we'll get that report done in 2026 and release it to the public and to our leaders in the legislature and in Washington, D.C. as well.
All right, before we go, I understand you have an album out that you just released?
Yes, I do. I've been wanting to record this music for 5 years of my favorite gospel songs and hymns. And I got into the recording studio and I recorded 27 songs. They said that's too many for one album, so I did another one on country, family favorites, I call it. So I've got a gospel album called Songs of Faith and a country album called Gipson Family Favorites. And you listen to those and you're going to hear stories and songs. That's what it's about. And I tell the story of my faith, my family's faith, and songs of faith. I sing my favorite songs like I Saw the Light and Amazing Grace and How Great Thou Art, all the way down. And then on the country side of things, I've got the Gipson Family Favorites, and it's a lot of Johnny Cash, a lot of songs about, you got to stand for something or you'll fall for anything. I Walk the Line by Johnny Cash. Family songs to encourage, stronger families. When we have stronger families, we have a stronger society. So I'm proud to do that. It won't be the last. I've got some other projects in mind. God has gifted me with a voice, and I want to use my voice to give him glory and hopefully encourage somebody along the way. You can find those albums on all streaming apps now, from Amazon, Apple Music, Spotify, you name it, it's out there. Andy Gipson, that's Gipson with a P. Check it out, take a listen.
If you have comments or questions about today's show or a suggestion for an interview or segment, just drop us a line. Email our producers. The address is news@wjtv.com. Byron Brown returns next weekend with more of the political and current affairs coverage that you demand. I'm Melanie Christopher. From all of us here at 12 News, make it a great weekend.